Hello, duckies and dice fiends! Welcome! It is the Table Talk Show on Tuesdays. I am Kay. I am one of your co-hosts. I am here with the incredible... Nope, this way. Yep, yeah, this way on this one. I'm here with the incredible Candace the Magnificent, who is once again stepping in as our co-host. So, as for us, we do this every Tuesday. We are here talking all things TTRPGs, from indies to intersectionality, so that everyone can learn and grow and have a good time. We do a lot of other things, but right now it's everything's a little bit out there, everything's a little bit wild. We may or may not be playing Baldur's Gate on Thursday and Friday. I'm gonna try and stream Thursday and Friday, even if we don't do that, because, I don't know, maybe we'll do some Stardew? I don't know, we'll figure it out. You can also find me at the Emergency Power Podcast, which is a homebrew Starfinder game, and if you have not caught up for Season 4, now is the time, because that is coming sooner rather than later. There's another thing we could talk about, but we are going to, Candace and I are both in that, so we will, Candace, who the heck is you, and what the heck is we doing here?
Who the heck is me? I'm Candace the Magnificent. I am a friend of this channel, and I am Fake David for this week on this delightful show. My pronouns are they, she. I am a TTRPG performer, voice actor, writer, and streamer. Ukulele player, sort of. I do lots of stuff on the internet. That's me. And I'm very happy to be here, and I'm very excited to talk about some things, especially this thing that's happening on Saturday.
So yes, on Saturday, well, we have two things we get to talk about then, because they also just put out the announcement for the upcoming... I have to I'm on the wrong account to be able to see what this is now, because of course
That's true.
I am. Of course I am, because I forgot to tweet stuff, because I am running production again, and I don't get to be spoiled and just make David do all the hard stuff. I didn't even update the stream titles, did I? No, I did not. Coming up.
Okay.
Coming up on May 22nd will be the Candlestick Crimes, which is a Sword of the Serpentine actual play where you can find both myself and Candace.
It's awesome.
Great.
It's so much fun. We're playing. Well, if you've ever played Gumshoe, it's a similar system to Gumshoe. It uses that as the base stats. If you've played Knights Black Agents, similar idea. I had such a good time making that.
It was.
I got
really
to be
fun.
a sweet little Thembo, who had a lot to say and add. Very useful person, intellectually. That's me.
They were incredible, and I got to play a character, the first character that I created for TTRPGs, specifically to play in a TTRPG, that I never have gotten to play. Every game I was supposed to play this character and canceled, so I was like, this is gonna be my last attempt. I'm gonna try and play this character, and if this one cancels because drama and everything goes bad, this character's cursed and I can't play them.
Uncursed now.
Because that second
arguably still cursed, though, considering his, their whole thing.
That's part and parcel. Like, the second Mothership game that didn't happen, that's what I was going to play.
Oh, so good. Oh, that look was good. I will never forget that look. I remember you sent me the picture of you as your character, and I was like, okay, stop. Respectfully, just tone it down.
But yes, if you're here, we have a special announcement, I guess. It's not out yet, but will be soon. Candace, do you want to tell us what you are running for us this Saturday?
Yes, I do. I'll also tell you who's at the table, since we will have marketing materials later today that I'm gonna be able to tweet out everywhere and get super excited about it. I've seen it looks pretty fucking good. Very tasty looking graphics.
We know who's doing it, so we know it's going to look good.
It's always going to be good. I feel terrible because I've been really overwhelmed in trying to plan multiple events at one time and got ahead of myself. You ever have one of those moments where you're like, man, I'm doing absolutely fucking nothing. And then the next day you're like, I'm doing everything. Everything's happening now. It's going to be great. I'm on top of it. I've got it going. Well, that was me. And I planned a whole bunch of stuff. And I surprisingly got pretty far. before realizing that I was 2 weeks out from my event and I had not asked anybody to do marketing materials. So yeah, we're doing fine though. It's okay. It's good. I've been telling people about it, so I know people will come and watch. This Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern, we will be playing Mothership. It is a module called Alone in the Deep, which is about an oceanic deep sea adventure in space. It is super creepy, and it stars Purcell, full rubber ducky, coming in hot. Mark J, more the merrier. Adam Swords, Adam So Wizard on Twitter, hilarious. And Super Dylan. And it's going to be awesome. And I cannot wait.
I am.
Because it's going to be so upsetting.
Ridiculously excited. And I cannot wait to make Candace feel terrible because I'm going to play a cinnamon bun.
Listen, I won't feel bad.
Are you sure?
If nothing happens to you. If nothing happens to you, I can't feel bad. And because I'm not the player character, I can't make bad things happen to you. All I can do is react to your poor decisions.
And they are full of poor decisions.
This is what I'm saying. I know that they are going to try to solve some problems that they cannot solve. And it's going to go however it goes for sweet baby Burton.
But you have to deal with me in the Burton wig.
I know. That's going to be such a problem for me. I can't. I can't. Between you and Dylan, I'm just going to be like, what? I'm playing a game. Yes. Sorry. There's a thing in the corner and it's looking at you. That's scary, right? Yeah. So yeah, come on out on Saturday if you want to watch me blue screen because my players are awesome. I'm very intimidated. Everybody is really, really good. If I may wax poetic about my players for a moment. I have been playing with Kay now for 3 years, and I don't think that there's ever really been a time where I've felt like you have just kind of phoned it in or like brought the same character. Even if you're playing the same character, like as far as like meeting Kinley in game or meeting Saul in game or whatever, like even if you're playing the same character, like I never feel like you're bringing me the same energy twice, which is awesome. And always keeps me on my toes as a scene partner with you.
I am incapable of half-assing anything. Ask anyone.
This is what I'm saying, but it's delightful. There's so many people who just like roll up to the game and then they're like, what are we doing? And you're like, really? A session 0 in several weeks? You don't know what you're doing? Okay, yeah. That's fine. It's fine. It's fine. I'll solve this problem as we go through the game. I will solve it. Don't worry, right? No, never have to do that with Kay. And with David, so I've never actually played a TTRPG with David. This will be my first time. I'm very excited. My number one anticipation of playing a TTRPG with David is that I'm going to have to not get horribly distracted by his wiseacreness.
I very rarely get to play with David. I usually run a game for David, or David is running a game for me. We don't get to play together. We had one, it lasted a little bit, but we had a home game that is on temporary, maybe permanent hiatus, where we did get to play together. But outside of that, we don't get to play together all that much. And I am going to torture David's character with my cinnamon bun.
Don't I know it? Don't I know it? The second
like,
you were like, oh, I'm going to be Burton, and he described his character, I went, oh, David, the poor decision you just made.
Like, just so everyone, Kinley is my Thembo Bard. David wants to fist fight Kinley, right? And that's understandable because Kinley does deserve it.
He is a bit of a prat. It's true.
No, he's not. Just ask him. He's wonderful. Everybody loves him. Burton is such a cinnamon bun that you can't be mad at him or you feel bad about it. Like, you're like, I know I shouldn't want to fist fight this person, but I do.
It's true. He's a sweet baby. That's why. They're just a sweet little thing who just never wants to hurt nobody.
Nope. Just all that aw shucks cornfield energy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's gonna go so fast.
So excited.
So fast in the submarine.
So excited. I may have I may have had a prop arrive today.
Oh my God. Yeah, I'm pretty pumped. It's going to be really hard for me to not get lost in the sauce. I'm going to get lost in the sauce. And it sucks because I know I only have a one shot. I'm so intimidated by one shots sometimes. I'm just
They're
like,
tough.
it's either going to be too short or too long.
They're tough.
One or the other's going to happen. It's going to be 2 hours out, or it's going to be like 3.5, and I'm going to be like, wrap it up, Candace.
Especially with this group, plan for like half of what you think you can get through, because it's going to be a roleplay group. That's the problem with one shots, is you have like, ask Dave, how many times has David said it? He's like, I don't think we have enough. And I'm like, we are not going to get through all of this. And we never do.
No, because there's going to be lots of chit chat. There's going to be lots of team building and things like that, and inter-party conflict and all those beautiful things that we love that are juicy and tasty.
Did y'all just see
and
that?
That's what I want.
I think I just saw that. Did y'all just see that?
And like, I want that. Like, I want that so bad.
Rex.
Hi, Rex. Like, I really, really want that. Because to me, that's the most engaging part. And like, what's nice about this module too is that like, I can control how quickly things move. So regardless of what happens, there will be an ending.
Excellent. Hey, DC, welcome. Yeah. I hope Hades 2 was treating you well.
DC, you were playing Hades 2?
Technical test.
God.
Technical demo.
God, I love it. I want it so bad.
There was...
I'm thirsty for it. I dream of it.
We were discussing it at work, and like, I didn't play the first Hades. Like, I appreciate the look of it. Not my game, right? I'll look at the art and the memes all day. But
Kay, it's so good, Kay.
But the person leading the meeting was like, they're doing the Hades 2 technical demo. I can't tell you anything because it's a spoiler. If I tell you who you're playing, it's a spoiler. And I'm like, wow, this is okay. Have played.
So
Can confirm.
Though.
So dang good, says Ribbonanza. Go be a lurky. Thank you so much, Faye.
Thank you, Faye.
Yeah, the art is...
Yeah, the voice acting. The voice acting is like ridiculous. And I'm in love with Darren Korb, who does the soundtrack. He is the composer. He's so good.
If I watched Stephen Joyce was playing that. Stephen is an incredible, delightful streamer, UK based, and he was playing it for charity. And there was a donation where he was playing levels of Hades blindfolded with his wife telling him where to go, what to do, what direction to shoot, where to run. Their relationship is just incredible. They play like the co-op like puzzle games, like escape room games together. And I'm like, and they are so sweet and loving and wonderful to each other, and I'm like, this would destroy so many relationships that I know. Yeah. Like, every other relationship I know would not survive this for an hour, and you do this for 3 hours every Sunday.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
I think that, like, I play a lot of puzzle games with my nesting partner, Jason. And I feel like if there is an inequity... Hi, Piper! If there's an inequity between how good one partner is versus the other, then yes, there will be fighting. I have some friends that never play board games together because one of them is extremely competitive and the other isn't and just wants to learn the rules. And I didn't believe it at first, right? I was like, no. And Jason and I went over to have like couples night with them one night to try and play board games. And we really wanted to invite the wife. We were like, oh, come on in. And oh boy.
Yeah.
Like no one was mean, but there was a very clear tension.
You can feel the shift
in the air. Yeah, like this tension of like, come on, let's play the game. You know what I mean? Like, and Jason and I are just like, it's fine. We don't mind. Yeah. But they were very
Overcooked and Mario Party has ended so many friendships. If you need a compete together, but it doesn't ruin friendships games, Ultimate Chicken Horse is the best. It's an adorable indie. You are supporting awesome indies, great people. It is you start on this side, there's a blank space or like a couple places, and then an ending on this side, and it's like a platformer. But every round you get items and you place items on the map, and some of them are like blocks so you can jump on it, and some of them are traps or black holes that suck you into various things that kill you. So you place your blocks or your traps, and then everyone has to get across to the finish line as fast as they can. So you're just as likely to screw yourself as you are everyone else. So it is the only one that I know that does not end friendships. That's
how I feel about Bomberman.
Yeah, I have seen I almost witnessed a fist fight break out at a Thanksgiving dinner over Mario Party. I do not play those games because I'm like, I am not competitive. I don't care. I don't like being around people when they get hyper competitive and I'm like, I'm done. You all play. I will sit and watch. They're like, no, come play. I'm like, I'm not doing it.
Yeah, I feel that. If it feels uncomfortable, I definitely get like creeped out. I get like anxiety.
Yeah.
But I feel like when Jason and I played Unraveled, it was more challenging than we played It Takes Two. It Takes Two was fine. We had a nice time. There were only like maybe two parts that I was just like, buddy. But in Unraveled, I think we played that one extra slowly.
Yeah.
Because that one requires a lot of coordination.
Hey, F1 Bing Bong, thank you so much for the follow. Welcome on in.
Oh, thanks.
But yes, so now that we are 20 minutes into the show, let's talk about some TTRPG stuff. Candace,
yeah.
I was like, hey, we don't have a guest this week. Is there anything you want to talk about? Candace was like, funny you should ask. I've got just the thing.
Yes, I do. I wanted to talk a little bit about an organization that I recently joined. A lot of people talk in this industry about supporting marginalized creators and supporting people of color, which is wonderful, right? Hearing that always like lifts my heart and like lifts my spirits and makes me feel like, change is is coming and people are welcoming that change, and it gets me very excited. But I think something that people tend to overlook a little bit are collectives of people of color. I think a lot of times people single out one person of color or a handful of people of color, and they're like, these are the ones I'm supporting, right? Rather than trying to seek out opportunities where they can kind of uplift a group of people that are trying to do something.
Hey, Mark J.
If you are interested, Mark J. Mark J is also an Apochramatic. Mark J is part of the reason that I was recruited to be in it, actually. One of the organizers and founders of that community. So like, I think that basically these groups and these communities, nothing is perfect in this world, obviously, but we can kind of shoot for better. And that's what Apochramatic aims to do. They elevate people of color in the industry, in the TTRPG community. They have an annual zine that they're trying to relaunch for next year. They actually had the first edition of it. Their zine 0, actually, I have across from me. I cannot reach it, but it's awesome. It's a little zine from the people that are in the community, and our community is very diverse. There's like a lot of people from all over the country, all over the world, many ethnicities and backgrounds, and then within that, because of intersectionality, lots of disabled people, neurodivergent people, people of all, gender and sexuality spectrums. So it's a really wonderful community, and I've been working with them now for about 1.5 years. I did my first session for them last year for Pride, which was just delightful. So if you're ever looking for like someone to support or uplift, please follow Apochramatic Unlimited on YouTube and Twitch. If you are a person of color and you're interested in joining Apochramatic, hit me up. I will send you a link to come to our community. It's just such an uplifting environment. And the thing that I really wanted to talk about this week was conflict in TTRPGs above the table, right? How we
those don't happen.
Never.
There's never drama or disagreements or people with strong opinions.
Or people who used to be theater kids and kind of still are. There's never drama between theater kids. Never. No one ever gets their extra sensitive feelings hurt, especially when, you're marginalized and so your feelings are a little more tender.
I was going to say, next you're going to tell me that you can be both black and queer.
Impossible. So I think the reason that I want to talk about this is because I have been involved in a lot of TTRPG conflicts. Since my very first stream, I have been privy to vibes. I was recruited for a one-shot that was going to be a Flash Gordon show, and I watched Flash Gordon and I was like, this has weird Orientalist vibes that I'm not feeling, and I had to like write to the people who hired me to be like, hi, how Orientalist is this going to be? Because if it's even 1%, I'm not coming. I'm so sorry. I recognize I am absolutely no one in this industry. I have done 2 streams before this, but I gotta ask, right? And they were like, thank you for asking. We're gonna go and make sure that this is not Orientalist and hire somebody to read it and make sure it is not Orientalist. And I was like, well, thanks. That's great,
awesome.
you know?
That is the best possible outcome.
It was fantastic, and I got spoiled. And I thought, you know what? In the TTRPG community, you're always gonna have an easy time having conflicts with people. It's always gonna go like this. No, it will not.
Oh, you sweet
No, it will
child
not,
of
dear
summer,
reader.
To quote the old lore that we really don't reference anymore. Oh, you sweet child of summer.
Oh, holy shit. It was bad. It's been a real mixed bag. What has saved me time and time again is having people in my corner that know my intentions and know my heart, and not only care enough about me to defend me when I need it, but care enough about me to go, nobody, you're not seeing that right. Or, hey, maybe you're misunderstanding something. Or, I think, right? People who are going to call you on your bullshit just as much as they'll call other people on their bullshit that you're being forced to deal with, right?
And I'm going to butt in just real quick and say it's really important, especially if you are a person who looks like me, like, make sure that if you are asking, hey, will you support me? Hey, am I right? That you are a big enough person to when people, especially people with more experience in that, more marginalized than you, whatever, if they say, hey, maybe you're not right, you have to be a good enough friend and person to listen.
That
That's
part
all.
is always missing.
I don't want to speak over the person of but it's important for people like me to point out that we have to do our part too. Continue, please.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. And like that's something that I think that accountability is something that people don't realize that they need to have, right? Like in a lot of the situations of conflict that I've experienced with white people, whether they were professional conflicts or personal ones within the TTRPG space, there's always this sense of, well, you make me feel like I'm part of the problem, or I feel backed into a corner, or, you know, you're making assumptions about who I am. And it's like, no, I'm telling you how your actions are affecting myself or someone else that you're in conflict with, right? Mm-hmm. That's very different than just saying you're a jerk and leaving it alone, right? Those are not the same thing. And I think being able to hear that and being open to being told that is absolutely a learned skill, right? Because it's not easy for anybody to be told you're trash, right? Your opinion's trash, you're completely wrong, and you've offended 6 people. That's not easy, right?
play, or it's on hiatus now, but I played a game with a bunch of British folks, one of whom was this super sweet, he's young to mid-20s, right? He's a straight white British guy, right? He's never lived outside of small town England. Mm-hmm. And we were having like a late night talk, myself, another non-binary person, and a lesbian. And we were kind of talking about all these various things. And he was like, I am so sorry. I want to ask a question, but I don't know if I should even ask it. And we're like, no, like, what's up? And he's like, and like, has to, like, apologizing profusely, and finally comes up with like, can you explain the ace thing to me? Right? And we go through it, right? And we started talking about some of these other things as well, you know, and he's like, I am so sorry. I am a straight white guy. I am the problem, but I need to understand. And I'm like, if you come at me like that, you're fine. And he's like, what do you mean?
I'll tell you, buddy.
I'm like, here's how other people have come to me. Like, how many of these sexual acts have you performed? How many? Mm-hmm. And he's like, what, people do that? Ew. And I'm like, yes, you are. I don't want to say you're one of the good ones, right? You don't say that, but I'm like, but you are coming at this with so much more respect.
Little bit, though.
Yeah, like, have some confidence. If you ask in good faith with people who are ready to have that, who are already having this conversation, you're good. Please do that. We need more people to humbly come and say, I need to learn about this. Can you teach me? And then when you teach them, they don't immediately say like, well, are you sure? Well, have you tried? Well, do you think this could fix you?
Or they go and ask other people to make sure that you're telling them the right thing.
Right.
just to double check.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask you, but what you say doesn't actually matter because I'm just gonna fact check you anyway, right?
Yeah. So
it's maddening.
So yes. No, like, I'm not saying just be aware when you're coming at something with privilege and treat people with respect.
That is some really good fucking advice, because sometimes it's not that somebody holds the privilege that you have against you, even, right?
Mhm.
Sometimes it's, I genuinely straight up can't understand.
Yeah.
Right? You're coming to me about something that's really fucking you up, right? That's really ruining your day. That's really like stuck in your craw, right? And I want to be there for you as my friend or my partner or my associate or my colleague, right? I want to hear you and I want to support you. But you're talking to me about some shit I cannot understand. I do not have the frame of reference to even understand what it is like to have what you have, right? And a lot of people don't realize that even when they're like angry, right? Oh, today I had a really bad day. Somebody yelled at me. I never get yelled at work. That's a valid bad day, right? That's a completely valid bad day. But if you're a person of color, being yelled at is like part of your job description, right? Like you're always yelled at work. So if someone's like, oh my goodness, it's beyond me how I'm meant to deal with this. I was yelled at today. I'm like, that's bad, right? Like there's only so much I can give you.
I was complaining at Candace before the show about something that happened at work today. And I'm like, look, I understand that I'm coming with this privilege, but like, I'm trying really hard to come down. If I seem high strung right now, it's because this happened and I recognize that I'm in a place of privilege. But
the problem still matters, right? The issue still matters. The only thing that changes is how much support a person can give you, right? Like today when we were talking, I've been there. I know what teetering on the edge of that is like, right? That feeling. So I was able to have a conversation with you about it.
My water bottle perfectly matches your eyeshadow.
Oh, it does.
Sorry.
Yeah,
it just brought me joy.
Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, your problem doesn't go away just because it might not be like the Goliath of someone else's issue. But like the emotional availability that I have is the same regardless of the depth of understanding that I have, right? But some people want you to be like, I feel you. I'm in the trenches. You're not gonna, right? I can't necessarily give that to you,
right?
But I can tell you that everything's gonna be okay,
right?
Right.
And again, we say, and this is what I think a lot of people miss: just because you have privilege doesn't mean you haven't suffered.
Mm-hmm.
Just means that you've got a layer of suffering or difficulty that other people don't necessarily, or that you have a layer of. I had that worded beautifully until I just destroyed it. Just because you have privilege doesn't mean you haven't suffered. It just means that there's like, it's a little bit easier than what other people have. There's certain layers of things. Yeah, you have a certain amount of insulation. Other people are dealing with those same things, plus being marginalized, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's some sprinkles on top that you don't have to have, and you don't want those sprinkles.
Right. And like, I think that that's something that really is invaluable when you're dealing with conflict outside of your comfort zone, right? Or outside of your purview and your understanding. Like going to someone and talking to them as a person of color about their racism, which you probably, like, whenever I'm dealing with racism in a situation, I'd say like 95% of the time, I'm like, that person doesn't mean it. Right, this person's not trying to be a shithead. I doubt that they're trying to alienate me and make me feel away. Right, like I don't like look at somebody who fucks up and go, I'm taking him out. Right, like that's not where I'm at. I can most of us can look at a person and say, you know what, benefit of the doubt. Not all the time, but most of the time, we can look at someone and say maybe they didn't mean it. Right.
I had to yell at a coworker at one point who was like, I've had just the worst day, or I've had a horrible, people accused me of being racist. And I'm like, yeah, you probably were. You didn't mean to be, I'm sure. Like, I don't think you went out and said, I'm gonna do a racist today.
Yeah.
But I know I've said things that, intentional or unintentional, I can tell you they weren't intentional, right? But I've said things that were racist. I was using a turn of phrase that I grew up with, and I went, oh, it wasn't racist, but I'm like, that is insensitive. I had never thought about the origins of that until a very nice person in my community went, well, what does that mean? I'm like, well, oh, thank you. I'm removing that from my vocabulary.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying, though, being open and not just immediately taking offense.
Yeah.
Right? Because like the rest of us, we have to do that. I have to be open and not take offense when someone says some dumb shit to me, or I'd lose every job I have, right? So
Yes.
just recognize you're not alone in this process. There are other people that have to do it too. And if they're willing, then like you should be willing if you can. And I think that like when I'm dealing with talking to non-POC, right, about problems and issues and how you solve them, I think that there's a lot of difference between like ethnically how people handle their issues, right, and how they handle their concerns. Like a lot of white people, very much in the kind of British keep calm and carry on tradition, a lot of my white friends and my partners and lovers in the past have done the pushing the feelings down, and then you push more feelings on top of it, right?
Like
that's how you go through your life.
I'm gonna leave.
Okay, it's like goodbye. For a lot of people, that's how you solve your problems, right? You don't. You leave them alone. But I think that like when you're dealing with like an Italian person or a Latin or Hispanic person or a Black person, right? The way
Or
our
a native
families
New
deal
Yorker.
the way the regional, ethnic, sometimes it's nationality based, right? There are all these different little quirks to certain groups of people that are going to change how they handle their problems and how they deal with their problems. The other day I was involved with something where someone called myself, by accident called me and a woman of color unprofessional. That does not have the same meaning when you call a white woman unprofessional, right? Those are two very different things. When a white woman is unprofessional, she's just unprofessional. But when I'm unprofessional, it's because I'm Black, right? Like, and that's just the way things are. That might not be the intention of the person who says it, but that's what's real, right? That's what's happening regardless.
When a man
that
is
knowledge, yes. When a man is emotional, he's just, he's speaking truth
He's
to
passionate
power.
or he's angry, right? It's
Yeah.
one of the two. He's just passionate. He just feels very strongly. When a woman is emotional.
Well, she's bitchy is what she is. She's sassy is what she is,
Or
right?
she just can't control herself.
She's probably on her period, if we're gonna be real. Bears are coming. That's usually what people say. And it can be so difficult. And that's why, like, I think the only thing that I really have to compare this moment to is seeing women in an all femme space, like women and femmes deal with their problems. And I can't even really say like all queer spaces or all trans spaces, because depending on how long someone has been trans, their litmus of what they feel and the way that they identify with themselves and their feelings and their emotions within the world can change. So it's not always guaranteed in like an all trans space, depending. But in like an all femme space, I've definitely seen problems dealt with in that bubble a certain way. But it's still very much governed by the race of the people who are doing the dealing, right? The handling. And recently, I was asked to mediate a situation. I'm not going to go into the situation. It doesn't really matter what the situation is, and I want to protect the privacy of the people who are involved. But I went into a situation where there was conflict, and both people were very hurt. Some of the people that were involved were, unsure if maybe they had done the right thing kind of leading up to the resolution of this problem. But everybody that was involved came with like honesty in their heart.
May I pause you for just a moment? We've lost
Absolutely.
your subtitles. And
Oh, no.
I'm going to just send you a new link, and it should be, I'm going to
Okay.
put it on Discord so I don't break my Zoom overlay.
Here I am.
Thank you. This is important, and I want to make sure that, we have that for accessibility.
There we go. My name is Candace most of the time. Testing.
Why does
Are
it not?
you
Oh, there it
hearing me?
is. Wait, no. Why does it
Is
not
it doing
like
the
you?
thing? I don't know. It's
No.
being quite mean.
It's very mean.
Maybe it's because I said it was sassy. Maybe that's what happened.
Own both the chaotic and the wholesome here. Okay, I'm gonna send you another link. Double check that it is allowing your microphone, or that it's on the right microphone. I don't think it should have switched, but who the heck knows?
I hope you can't hear these horrible children outside my door screaming.
I cannot.
Good. They're making like weird wildebeest noises and it's messing me up. I kind of almost wish you could hear them so that you could understand what I mean when I say weird wildebeest sounds.
My neighbors have screaming children that sometimes I can't tell if it's my cat or their child.
Yeah. Yeah, lots of that.
Yeah.
See, now it's not picking up any, like it's not doing, there we go. Okay.
Okay. So,
good.
Everyone came with their heart open.
Everyone came with their hearts open, which I didn't expect, because a lot of times people come to mediations like that, in my experience. Exactly, right? And I think that both people that were at the core of the disagreement were sort of like that to a degree, but I don't think either of them wanted to walk away feeling bad. Like, I don't think either of them wanted to walk away feeling like this was irreparable. And the person who was wronged, who felt wronged, right, wanted an apology, and the person who did the wronging wanted to give it. And that's not often something that's even well communicated, right? In the last situation that I had a conflict in, like, I kind of waited for that person to understand what they were doing and to embrace the accountability of what they were doing, because that's really what I needed, right? I didn't really need that person to change immediately. Like, the process of change was fine, but the acknowledgement of what they were doing and how it was affecting me matters, right? That matters. That's what tells you that this person, things can get better, that person can change. So I go into this, everyone, including the people in a conflict bowl situation, there are people who are a part of the community that are stakeholders that can also be there to listen and to observe and to bear witness, right, to what's happening and to communicate. And I've never witnessed anything more emotional and satisfying in my life. I've never had an all POC disagreement outside of like my family, right? Like, I've never seen people from different cultures come together and have to have a meeting of the minds. And like, I really, really wish that like people could have seen the way that things went with how open and honest. I mean, in a conversation with white people, if I raise my voice, I'm automatically angry, right? I'm automatically rude. I'm mean. I'm bitchy. I can't be reasoned with, right? My conflict with Crossroads, that was the first place we went, right? Well, you know, I can't speak to you. You're too upset. You're too emotional. Like, that's very much something that white people use against people of color and marginalized people to tone down your message and the seriousness, like undercut the seriousness of what you have to say. And because there were no white people in this conversation, that just straight up never happened. At no point was someone like, let's undercut the seriousness of this and pretend, right? And anyone who did, that got called out as colonial ass behavior, right? Hey, we're not doing that. We're taking everybody serious right now. We're listening to what everybody has to say right now, especially because the person who's on the offender end is also acknowledging that they could have been better. So there's no need to fill in that blank. There's no need to pussyfoot around things. And my breath was taken away. Like, it was so direct, and it was there were parts that were deeply uncomfortable because of the tension and the passion. But I feel like understanding that passion and feeling that passion and feeling the feelings of not just the harmed party, but the person who did the harm, and seeing that person sit with those feelings and sit in that disappointment with themselves and in their hurt of not being able to fix the problem, right? Of not being given an opportunity to fix the problem until now, until this conversation. Like, it was gorgeous that that person held space for the person that they had harmed while still being able to advocate for themselves, and vice versa. And like, by the end of this conversation, everybody was able to speak. We had a short period of time for feedback. The feedback came from the people in the audience. You're not allowed to talk about, we're not supposed to talk about, you know, what you liked or disliked about what people said. You're supposed to instead give constructive feedback about the way someone did something. Like, I really liked how you both gave each other space, or I like how, you know, this person listened when the other person was speaking, or whatever, right? You're allowed to say things like that. And it was so, like, wholesome feels like the wrong word, because wholesome feels like it's unexpectedly sweet, and I guess it is. But at the same time, like, it was just deeply, deeply meaningful as both someone who was watching and, from what I understand, for the people involved. There have been so many times that I, because of the way that I speak and the way that I express myself, have been branded in a really distasteful manner because I didn't do what someone expected of me, because I didn't speak the way they expected, because I got upset, because I cried, because I yelled, because, I got, shorter with them, right? More curt. There was no understanding. There was no grace given, nothing. It was just, well, you're too much.
Yeah.
And at no point did that happen in this conversation. And I wish that other spaces could just kind of take a page out of that book and just bring your whole self, like bring your real self and be authentic in your presentation, because you can learn something from someone who is willing to put that much passion and that much emotion into their argument and into their resolution with you. Like it was amazing.
Yeah, we had I was unfortunately involved in a conflict, which I'm still very sad about, but I was not part of this, but another person reached out to the person who felt they were wronged, felt they were harmed, and said like, hey, I'm really sorry everything went down this way. I see missteps on both sides. I'd love to talk to you, if you are open to, and they were like, please don't tell me I took missteps in this.
You got to be open to hearing about it. If you are lucky enough to have people that will be honest with you, let them. So many people are going to grin in your face and shit talk you behind your back. Like, you have to just let the people who care about you give you the information that you need so that you can be the best version of yourself. That's such a privilege to have.
And it's, you don't know how people were taught, how they were brought up. So it is unfair for you to expect certain reactions out of people. I remember in high school, my senior year was rough for a number of reasons. My senior year English class was stacked against me for various reasons, including the fact that senior year, we still had weekly spelling tests, and your friend is dyslexic. So spelling is almost impossible for me. Even if I have it correct in my brain, it breaks when I'm writing it on paper because letters will flip, and I can't see that those letters were flipped. And my teacher called me in after class and explained to me, you're at risk of failing English. Yo, I majored in English, okay? This is the thing I majored in. This is the thing I am good at. And I did what my drill sergeant father taught me to do, which is I nodded and I'm like, I understand, I'm gonna do better. And I walked out. And as soon as I was out, the door was closed, I burst into tears because you take responsibility, you don't show the emotion, you deal with the emotion, and you go fix the problem, right? That teacher went and called my parents and was like, I don't think Kay is very serious about this because they didn't show any emotion when I told them.
That's a big swing.
And y'all, that's a white person judging a white person, right? There's so much. There are so many different things. And thank you for the clip, Matt. This is going to be a very intense episode, but I always love talking with you, Candace. Because Candace,
I love talking with you.
I've said this about David, and I'm saying this about Candace. I am so lucky that I have people who will call me on my bullshit, and I have reached out to both of them in situations I've been like, I think I'm in the right here, but will you please tell me? Because you have to have friends who will be willing to tell you, you out of line. Go rethink that.
Yes. Because that's the thing. If you say that you are open and you're not, right? A lot of people think, oh, well, I'll have another shot. And will you? Sure. You might have another shot. You might have another chance, right? That person might understand that they gave of themselves to you and you kind of just shrugged and left it on the table, right? They might know that, and they might forgive that, and they might give you another shot and come back around. But they also might not. For me, I'm at a place in my life right now. It's really hard being in this place because I am very much the person that loves having the patience and loves having the wherewithal and the diplomacy to be able to talk to somebody and educate them if they need it, so that they don't have to talk to other people who are tired, right? And for a long time, I thought, well, that's my role. That's my job, right? I can always do this. No problem. Easy. Until one day that started happening to me, right? Then I was like, oh no. Do I have the spoons to both be going through this and educating at the same time, right? And the first time I did, right? The first time I was leaving Moonbounce Productions, I packed my little bag, I was ready to go, and I was very upset, but I was like, you know what? You can write a 6-page letter going through exactly what happened, just in case this person really does want to be different, because you don't want to believe that they don't want to change. You're going to spend all this time. They're definitely going to hear you. They're going to be thankful to you for what you said, right? I had the whole thing planned out. And Kay was like, I've been a community manager for 17 years. I don't want to watch you just crumble under the weight of this. If it doesn't go the way you think, are you going to be okay? And I was like, it didn't occur to me that this wouldn't go the way I think. I guess I should consider that. And even then, it still didn't go the way that I considered. And it was horrible. And that person did not care that I had written that letter and probably never even read it. I wasted all of that time thinking about this person's feelings, and I was the last person they thought of. They apologized to everyone else involved except for me. So I remember that day just kind of being like, okay, that's surprising. I didn't see that coming. And it helped me when I got to the crossroads situation, because I was able to scale back quite a bit, right? Save myself a lot of time. Use context clues to see how small amounts of information were received, let alone you now are part of the problem and I have to educate you on that, right? If you're not willing to hear that someone that's close to you is a part of a problem, you're not willing to hear you're part of the problem. So I was able to just kind of write a 1-pager and get in and get out, right? Lasting damage still, it still hurts to go through that. But over time, it's been obvious, made obvious to me that I just don't have it in me to have that kind of patience for everyone anymore. After this whole thing happened, I had people sliding into my DMs trying to ask me, you know, telling me that they've done a good job being allies, ask me for feedback on issues that they were having that I already know my POC friends have definitely leveled opinions on, right? And aren't being listened to. But I'm being asked for like a third opinion. Like, no. No.
Also, you don't get to call yourself an ally. You are informed that you are one.
That. And as Mark J famously said, your name will be written in pencil.
And Mimics and Misfits said, one of the hardest things of 2024 has been, am I doing this for them, or am I doing this because it's how I'll be good with myself? That.
And there's very much a struggle of, am I a good person? And if I'm a good person, therefore I must not have a problem with racism because I'm good and I'm nice. And that's all you really need to do. You just got to be a good person.
Right.
But like, what does that mean? Right? Is a good person the type of individual who would steal a loaf of bread to feed a hungry kid because fuck capitalism? Or is a good person someone who's law abiding? Right? Like, who decides what's good? Being a good person isn't enough when you're standing there being silent and somebody is being harmed, right? Or when you're silent when you've harmed someone. That's not necessarily something a bad person would do, silence. But silence usually means something pretty fucking bad, right? So, like, I think a lot of people try to kind of conflate, well, I do nice things and good deeds, therefore I don't have to go above and beyond. But that's not the case. Allyship is about being there when it's uncomfortable, not just when it's comfortable, right? And like, if you're there when it's comfortable, great. Come along for the ride, right? Enjoy. But if you're there when things are hard and when things are scary for someone, because sometimes it gets really fucking scary. Like, I genuinely didn't think I would work again after leaving my first situation more so, but even my second situation, I was like, what if I never get this back? What if I never get to game with these people again? Like, what if this is just over for me? Like that's a really serious reality that a lot of marginalized people face. What if this is just the end? Because one mistake can sometimes spell the end for you if you're marginalized in any kind of way, in any kind of space. And that's a big reason why having, diversity at your tables also matters, right? Instead of just, one POC here and there. Because when you have a disagreement, which in TTRPGs you absolutely will, you have something else to go off of. You have other perspectives that you can learn from, rather than just that one person being like, hi, so now I have to ruin this by telling you that you all are wrong and it's me against 4 people, right?
Yeah. And again, if we talk about like what defines a good person, right? How many of these conversations have we been in, Candace, where we've had everyone's come together and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be the community manager here, and I'm gonna say the worst case scenario, the worst case this can go is this. And no one wants to think of that, and I don't want you to have to think of that, but I need you all to know that in the worst case, this is what we're going to be dealing with. So if you are not prepared, especially the people who are showing up to be allies, right? If you are not prepared for this to go this way, for this to be the fallout, you need to bounce now. And I know that people have walked away from those meetings and been like, okay. And at least 2 times, it was exactly what I called. And it wasn't that I looked at these people and went, this is how this is going to go. I looked at it and went, this is the way it can go. And everyone here needs to know the stakes. Because if you're going to say, I'm in and I support, and this is what, and then it doesn't go the way you want it to, and you say, oh, I didn't know this would happen.
It's real easy to fuck right off. Yeah, it's real easy to fuck right off when things don't go the way that you think they're going to go. And I think that that's something that a lot of people that sign on to quote unquote be allies don't realize, right? It's not about, oh yeah, well, I'm willing to speak up. It's okay, well, when you speak up and you're wrong, how are you dealing with that?
And when you speak up and the person you're speaking up to doesn't want to listen and is ready to throw you under the bus with everyone else, how do you react?
Yep. And I think that that's something that it really can't be understated. It's very hard. Like, it's very, very hard to be an ally. It is not something that anybody and everybody can do. And I think that like, even the reward of being an ally, right, can sometimes be more stress for you, depending on the situation that you're in, right? Depending on the people that you surround yourself with, depending on how hard that you're willing to fight for them. It's not a perfect system, but it's one that's extremely worthwhile. And in a situation like Apochromatic, right, where none of us are allies, we're all marginalized, right? No one's coming to save you. There's no one that's gonna like walk in and solve this problem. We have to solve this problem together, which is how it should always be. But a lot of white people butt in where they shouldn't and try to solve problems for people that they should not. So it was really nice to see that sense of ownership and that sense of community just like roll in and take front and center stage, because there were people who took that accountability. I cannot tell you how many times I have been so disappointed by someone who says that they're trying to do the work and they're trying to be there, right? Okay, well, part of your privilege is noticing when you get an opportunity and who helped you get there, right? Like, that's for me too. I'm not a white person, but that's me too. If I get a cool opportunity and I know that it's because of something that Kay did or something that someone that Kay introduced me to did, Kay gets a text message, right, from me saying, hey buddy, guess what? This happened to me today. Thank you so much. Because that's what needs to happen. And if I can reach back and give Kay some time, I do, right? And because that's what needs to happen. Like,
and those
but when someone doesn't,
those of us who come from privilege too, like Candace does that because they are an incredible person and friend. But like, I know I have said, y'all, I am in the credits of a video game that I have never worked on, because I was talking to people and they were like, we're looking for an artist. And I'm like, I know a great artist. And I introduced them, right? I have set people up with opportunities in TTRPGs, in video games, just general networking, in comics, because I am happy when cool people do cool things together, right? If you do this from, I just want to give people opportunities. I have seen people that I introduced go on and pass a paid project. I can't take this. I passed it on to this person. I've seen that happen. I didn't get a text message. Didn't matter. I was happy because I'm like, heck yes, I know I made that connection happen and that person is great. You're not owed any of that. But don't be afraid to like celebrate when it happens. Hey, Chris.
Hey, Chris.
So yes, that's all I wanted to say is like, that is not required. Don't feel like, oh, I set someone up and they did this thing and I didn't get a text message. You're not owed that.
No, you're not. And like, not everybody is going to be like that giving. There have been plenty of times where I've done something cool to set something up and people are just like, shrug anyway. And then that's the end of it.
Yeah.
And like, I still derive that pleasure from making that connection, like you're saying. Like I'm just like, yeah, whatever, right? But like when you do get that nod back, when you do get that reach back, like that feels great, and it helps to deepen the emotional like resonance of your relationship with this person and this colleague relationship that you have with this person, the trust that you have with a person. And I think that in the TTRPG community, we really don't talk about trust enough. Right? Like so much of what we do requires an immense amount of trust. I just played a game of Bluebeard's Bride. That's a brutal ass system that like can get ugly real fucking fast if you're playing with the wrong people, right? Like it's really easy for that game to just get bad. It's easy for most of these games to go bad if you're not playing with the right kind of people. And I think that a lot of times people don't realize that lines and veils, safety tools, all of that also ladders up to trust. How well somebody behaves, how well they remember the lines and veils, how many questions they ask, how much checking in that they do. All of that matters, right? To make for a more trustworthy experience when you're in TTRPGs. And that's another part of allyship. If I'm a Black person and somebody misspells my name, right? And then there's like a weird moment where like my name is mispronounced. And maybe there's also a moment in the game where like my character is suddenly like suspicious for no reason, right? If you're a white person and you see all of that, it's going to be uncomfortable for you at a mostly white table to be like, hi, this sucks. What are we doing? I noticed this is happening to this player. It's not happening to my character. Can we talk about that for a second? And sometimes you're going to want to check in with that person of color first, right? Just to make sure that they're also seeing it, because sometimes we don't, and it would be embarrassing if you said something before we were able to even take it in. So checking in really matters. I always feel really good when someone's like, hey, this is weird. I'm feeling weird about this. Are you okay? Like, that makes me feel really good because I know they're keeping an eye on me.
We all question ourselves too. It's like, is this a thing? Is this just me? I don't want to be the drama, right?
Yes.
Like we were playing a game. And
having that meeting matters. Yeah.
We were playing a game and the GM was not being rude, right? There was nothing, facetious is not the word. There was nothing ill intent about it, right? It's
malicious.
Just malicious. Thank you. Facetious, malicious, basically the same word, right? But they kept referring to my character as the wrong gender, right? And I'm like, I understand because I understand how I sound, how I present, right? And someone else was jumping in and correcting, and it was like, I didn't have to do that. That felt very good. Thank you.
Because you don't always want to have to say things, especially like if you're in a situation, if you're new, or if you're in a situation where, you know, you might have had a problem with this person before, but it's not big enough for you to not want to play with them, right? Having those little moments, like it gives so much more freedom to being in this community and staying in this community, because staying is a big one. You can invite people into a community all you want. Whether or not they stay is a whole different issue.
Right.
Like, that's advertising. I come from the world of advertising. That's the #1 problem in advertising. Like, lots of Black people specifically enter. Lots of femmes enter. Lots of people of color enter. Very few stay because it's almost impossible to do so. Every day you're getting beat down in different ways. So I think that like when you start to kind of consider those roles of allyship, right? Those little moments, even the small like minutia of just checking in and seeing if someone's okay, checking in with the GM and saying, hey, you know, I kind of didn't like the way this went down today. Have you considered checking in with this player, right? Whatever way that you can think of to try and just make it that much easier for people to say, like, I've started doing this thing personally, if you want to talk about allyship. Not an ally because chronically ill, but if somebody in a game is like, oh man, I kind of got a headache, week, or oh, I've got a migraine, or oh, I've got IBS flare up, or whatever. If someone's like, it's cool, I can push through, I'm always like, I'm also not feeling well. I don't give a fuck what it is. Unless it is like an emergency, I too am suddenly not feeling well, so that it's easier for you to be like, nah, I need to take a break, right? Because if it's just you, you're gonna feel like garbage. And I personally don't give a fuck. If you need the night, you should take the night so that you can have a better job next time, right? So that you can enjoy the game. We're all supposed to be enjoying this game. We're trying to do nice things for one another and for charity organizations. We're not saving lives. We can reschedule, right? It's not a big deal. I'm very much that person now, because it can be really hard to speak up and advocate for yourself, especially if it's like, let's say it's a table with a bunch of people that you really look up to.
Yeah.
Right? And you're like, well, I definitely am not going to be my best in this game today. I'm going to be horrible, or I'm going to bail last minute, and that's going to count against me. Someone's going to judge me for that. Like, that's only going to make that problem worse.
Or if it's happening I've told this story a couple times now, but I was in a one-shot that was going ridiculously long, and the GM asked on stream, with the whole audience watching, can everyone stay late? Which, of course, no one wants to be the person who's like, no, I can't, right?
Not a soul.
And one of the players was 6 months pregnant and types into our private chat and is like, hey, the baby is getting upset that I'm sitting this long. And the GM didn't even acknowledge. Enjoy the lyric, Chris.
That's ruthless.
Right. There are all sorts of reasons. And just check, or even just pinging and being like, I have definitely been like, hey, I was having a really bad table. I had not said with exception to everyone currently in chat, right? I was dealing with a straight white guying who was straight white guying to a degree that I had not experienced in years at this point.
Too much.
It was so much. It was so much. And we were supposed to keep going. And I was like, and I messaged another player and I'm like, are you? And they were like, yeah, this is also, I'm like, okay, let's figure out, because it was so painful. It was literally, we're like, we are going to leave this scene. And the player is like, you look at my character, it doesn't look like he's going to leave.
So I'd be such a menace as a GM if someone did that in my game. I'd be like, you're dead. A dragon comes out of nowhere, eats you. You're dead. I'm so sorry.
That is what should have happened. But someone figured out how to min-max the thing and was just gonna show off, right? And no one else was having fun. And even the GM is like, even if you kill all these people, it's gonna be really clear that you can't keep going. And he was like, it's cool. I'll die here if I have to.
No.
It was.
Yeah, no. I hate that. I hate that. You can't win this game.
Right.
It is a game of compromise. You cannot win it. Okay.
But yeah, checking in on each other and finding ways to help people get out of situations. Even if you don't know someone very well, you can usually tell when someone's like, or just in pain.
Yep.
David and I have both done episodes of this show and other shows where we're both tired, not feeling well. But we both know when the other person is at a point, be like, you don't look right. We're pulling the plug. We're not doing it. Right?
Yep.
David, I'm sorry, I'm telling on you. David swore up and down that he would be ready to do the show today. And I'm like, Candace, I need you on standby, because I don't think he's going to be there.
I'm here.
And I'm so happy.
Tell him to go take a nap.
But yeah.
You're ordered to take a nap.
Naps required.
Yep. Drink a margarita when you wake up. Yeah, this is where we get to the Star Trek part of the Chaotic Wholesome Presents. You want to talk about good allyship and somebody who knows what the fuck they're doing and standing fucking down when he should. If you haven't seen Star Trek Strange New Worlds, I highly recommend you watch it. Captain Pike is the captain of that ship in Strange New Worlds. It's like a precursor to TOS Star Trek. And when they first launched Strange New Worlds, I was like, get out of here with your white man show, right? Y'all are just making this white man show because fucking Commander Burnham is too rad, right? She's being the Shatner of Discovery, and she's going around smooching all the babies and smooching all the ladies and getting all the fucking cool shit and doing dives off the side of her fucking ship into the vacuum of space and swimming and all kinds of nonsense, right? And y'all are mad about it because she's not a white guy. And I get it, sort of, but not really. And shut the fuck up and sit down. So then they were like, well, everyone, since you're crying, we'll spin off this captain that you liked from Discovery, Captain Pike, who you know from TOS, before he gets all like androidy and cyborgy, and we're going to show you who he used to be and how things were going, right? And you're like, yeah, okay, sure, you're going to fucking rehash TOS. What more can you add, Paramount Plus? What more can you add? You know what they added? They added 3 white leads who listen the fuck out of everybody else on the ship that is not white. That is what that show is about. That show is about a white man who is the captain of a ship because he knows he is a white man, and he recognizes that he is a white man who is straight and cisgender, and he looks at his crew and is like, all of you have far more lived experience than I do. I'm just a straight cis white man. The fuck do I know? I can definitely, give encouragement and inspiration to people to do their very best job, which is what I'm here to do. You could say that I am the white magical Negro of this show, where I'm going to people and I'm inspiring them to be the best version of themselves for no reason at all. That's my job, is I'm the magical white that sprinkles fairy dust on all of these amazingly talented minorities and puts the spotlight on them. And I don't even really help them do anything better than they normally would because they're just that fucking good. But also, look how good my crew is. Aren't they good? Look at them. They're so amazing. I wish I could be that good, but I'm just a straight cis male white guy. What am I doing? Got great hair. That's what I do. That's my strength. I got great hair, a killer smile, and a hot girlfriend sometimes. That's me, Captain Pike. That's Strange New World.
Cannot wait to watch this.
I was like, I got like 5 episodes in and I was like, is this a joke? Am I being punked? I thought this was the show for the white guys that are mad. Aren't they just going to be mad about this show too? Yes. But aren't they just going to be mad? There's a lot of queers on this show. There's a real pretty lady that's trans on this show. What are we doing? What? I don't get it. That show should be called Strange New Allyship. That is the show. The whole show is allyship, and it's awesome. It's wonderful to see. Uhura's like, I don't know if I can do this. Do you think I should like continue? And Pike is like, I'm not going to give you a pep talk. I'm going to get an alien to give you a pep talk because that's going to be much more meaningful. Hold on a second. And bring somebody in who's like, let me tell you about the first time I came to Starfleet. Oh, it was amazing. And she gets really inspired by this person and soars into the future. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. That's the way you need to be an ally. You want to learn about allyship? Strange New Worlds.
Matt wants to know, is the fairy dust just table salt?
Matthew, that's a fantastic joke about Christopher Pike and his notorious chef skills. Yes, it is table salt. He makes mean Italian food for his crew. This is what I'm saying. Okay, let me bring that around. He cooks for his crew. He cooks for them. They have dinner parties where everyone comes over and he has a little apron on and he has his little oven mippies. He's like taking quiches out of the oven. Just go ahead, make yourself comfortable. I'll be right there. Would you like a drink? He is a lady wife captain. It is I'm like, who did this? Who did this? Who made this beautiful lady wife of a captain?
I need this.
I can't get enough.
In my veins right now. Like,
oh my God, it's outstanding.
I'm finally getting to watch Prodigy.
Oh,
because it's
so cute.
It's on Netflix now. For those who still have the red. But yeah, I'm not gonna lie. We got like 3 or 4 episodes in, and I'm like, so why isn't Gwen the captain?
I would love to know.
Why isn't Gwen the captain? So it's nice to know that there's a little bit of a reversal there, because I'm like, okay, look, this kid is freaking cute. He's got white freckles. Everyone who's played with me knows I have a lot of characters with white freckles, so it should be, but Gwen should be the captain.
Yeah, I feel that. I agree. I think I'm about the same amount in, like I'm only a few episodes, because we started watching it while it was on Paramount Plus, and then they deleted it, and it was supposed to be deleted forever, and we got real upset And so I was in my feelings and we did not continue. And now it's on Netflix and I'm like, okay, we got to remember it's on Netflix and probably just start it over again. The main character boy, I can't remember. Is that Gwyn?
No, Gwyn is
boy.
the girl with the knot dreads.
Oh yeah, she's awesome. That is the same character, the same actor from Fallout, the new Fallout show.
Oh,
That's
I
like
haven't
the
watched
main
it yet.
cast
I know
member.
I need to, but
I haven't either. People are going fucking crazy for it.
Have you seen the playership of Fallout 4?
No.
It is up like 1,000% since the show came out. It is redonkulous, that number.
Wow.
Like, I'm gonna see if I can find it. Let's see.
I mean, I know people are going fucking crazy for it. Matt the other day posted the RPG is on sale in a Humble Bundle, if that's your thing.
Yeah. Nope, that's not it either. Gosh, dang it. But yes, I need to watch it. I have only played. I think everyone here knows I'm afraid of dogs. Dogs. It's not good.
They're unpredictable. I get it.
I used to do video games journalism, and I went. Oh, not since. I was trying to talk and type at the same time. It doesn't work, y'all. And I did games journalism, and I went to a whichever company makes it thing, and Bethesda, and went to a Bethesda press event when Fallout VR was coming out. And Fallout, it was in the crappy PS4 or PSVR, whatever. It wasn't good. And I was there like, here, hop it. So I put on the helmet and I've like got my little pit bull and I'm like, okay. And I'm looking around this barren, terrible wasteland. And I hear, whoop, whoop, and this huge dog comes bounding towards me. And I shoot it in the head. I'm like, no. And the guy's like, so that's your buddy? He's supposed to help you. I'm like, no, that is not my buddy.
Well, why was he barking at you?
He was barking at, I guess it was supposed to be an excited bark, and it's also a big dog, right? And it's in VR, so this thing's coming at me, and I'm like,
I don't know.
No.
I don't know. Like, they need to walk you over to the dog and say, this is your friend. Like, that's what needs to happen. I assume everything is trying to get me in VR.
Yeah, this is, again, I feel like most people, especially like also if people who know the series more, they're like, oh, that's dog meat. Even if I knew the dog was supposed to be part of it, that thing was coming at me, especially in a survival game. Like, I've played a lot of zombie. I was banned from playing VR zombie or punching games at E3. Because I hit devs twice. No, I punched a dev when I was doing the Walking Dead VR. And then did Creed VR, which was the boxing game. And the space was not set up correctly, so the boundaries weren't as clear, so I didn't know I was moving as much as I was, and I punched a TV. I didn't break it.
Oh my goodness.
But I punched the TV.
In my mind, that doesn't sound like it was your fault.
It was
So
the funniest part was like I was going through the Fallout VR and like you're mostly shooting, not Fallout VR, the Walking Dead VR, and you're mostly shooting, right? But then I ran out of bullets and one was coming at me, and so I just pistol whipped it. And a dev came up, right, as I was realizing, so I like pistol whipped the dev with the VR controller. And everyone's laughing.
Look both ways before you cross the street.
Right. It was in like a little adjacent to E3 hotel room. So there's like a billion devs and then two of us in VR. So it was a very small, very dangerous space, right? And so then everyone's kind of laughing and I'm like, I'm so sorry. And they're like, no, keep playing. It's fine. Like, cause it didn't. And so I keep playing. And then we go through and I find the bat. I find the baseball bat wrapped in barbed wire. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, ooh, and I pick it up.
Lucille.
Right? And I'm like, ooh. And then I bring the other hand up and it snaps. So I see both hands holding it, right? And I'm like, ooh. And so I'm like, ooh. And I have learned, not everyone who gets into VR assumes the pose. I put someone in a Star Wars VR and they got a lightsaber and people were shooting lasers at him and he went big, burly Latinx guy. I get the thing, and I'm like,
power pose.
I get the thing, and I'm like,
Yeah.
and at this point, there's zombies coming at me, and of course, it's kind of difficult to move in VR. You know, movement's still a little bit weird, and I've got a melee weapon, so I'm like waiting for the zombie. I'm not gonna charge. The zombie's gonna come to me. I'm gonna be braced. I'm gonna take a good swing, right? So I like stand, and I go, "Come at me, bro." Right? I hear laughter all around me. Just an explosion of laughter. And I'm like, what happened? And I just hear someone go, "She looked me in the eye, said, 'Come at me, bro,' and swung." And then I hear the other dev who I'd punched before go, "Sounds like you got a warning."
I don't understand how anyone still gets hit in that scenario when someone has gone for. Like, when you hear that, you get the fuck out of the way, right? Like, I'm not a pinata.
I mean, look, I know I am very small, but I have taken many, many, many years of many, many, many different styles of martial arts. I can hurt you. I won't mean to usually, but I can.
Foolishness.
David's seen me scrap. Yeah, so anyway, I started blasting, right? Like, I don't remember how we got onto this.
I don't feel bad for the people who got affected by that. I feel like they had that coming.
Everyone at least had a good sense of humor about it.
That is a positive thing. But I also feel as though if you're going to have VR, you need to just kind of prepare for whatever. Somebody asked me to do VR, and I was like, I don't think I should. I'm going to get freaked out. And they were like, no, you should still try it. And I said, yeah, but like, this is like an expensive headset. And if I drop it on the ground in terror, you're going to be mad at me. And they were like, no, here, why don't we put you on a soft area? We'll surround you with beanbags. I was like, great. So I put the headset on. It was like a haunted house scenario. I was just walking around on the grounds. The sounds were too much. I couldn't handle the sounds. The sounds fuck me up even more than the visuals, arguably, because the sounds like are real spatial. Mm-hmm. And I can't, like, if there's a sound back here, I get fucked up. I'm like, nope. I'm like, it's bad for me. Mm-hmm. So there was a creaking sound and a rustling thing. And I was like, something is obviously going to eat me. I hadn't even entered the haunted house, and I dropped it on the ground. Okay. Just straight up on the ground.
I sent you this. Hold on. I'm going to, let's see if I can do this. I think I can do this rather quickly. We are going to do create new. Okay, so I can show you all. No, I don't. Oh, I think y'all are seeing what I don't want you. Hold on, where is it? Here. Look at this jump in playership.
Holy shit. Wow.
Just from that. From the show. Like, it's great. Okay.
I mean, love to see it. That's a great argument for giving more of a fuck about video games. I'm looking at that and I'm like, so how's that turning into more jobs in the video game industry so people can stop being miserable? How do we?
I would love.
How do we fix this up?
I would love to know.
Like, holy shit. Oh man, I've never played a single Fallout game. I don't even know where to start. Are they on Xbox? Does everyone have them?
I don't know the answer.
Is it worth it?
To that? I know a lot of people who really like them.
I know a lot of people who like Borderlands though, and I tried that and it was a nightmare. That was bad.
I had a CEO who played a lot of John Wick VR, which is kind of like a stand and you shoot, and enemies come at you. Mm-hmm. And then we had one from what's it called? Servios, which was Raw Data, which is like a sci-fi, you fight a bunch of robots and stuff. And so he was having fun, he's doing the shooty. And then there were some, if you get far enough, they start sending robots that are not finished. And so they're just torsos and arms crawling toward.
No, thank you.
And my boss is like, nope. And he's like, he's especially shooting those because the dragging is not okay, right?
No.
And then one got too close, and apparently it launched itself off the ground and tried to grab his face. It was his headset. He pulls off the VR headset, flings it across the room. Is like,
that's
nope,
what you do.
No, Never played that game again. Ever.
Why would you? why, like I look at people that are like Resident Evil VR. I'm like, why are you shaving years off your life, man? You're just shaving them right off, just filing off serial numbers left and right. Like, no, my life is stressful enough. If I'm in a VR, there better be like sexy, naked people of all different genders hanging out, wanting to bring me pastries and macarons and fucking feed me grapes and shit on like a nice breezy island or inside of a huge bookstore where I can touch every book and never have to buy anything, right? Like that's my idea of really great VR, is being able to be in a world that's inspired by Lisa Frank and everything's
I feel like
good.
Lisa Frank would be a little bit much in VR.
Yeah,
like,
it would, but like I'd be into it. My eyes would bleed and I'd be happy.
But discussing horror, I'm going to take it and like bring it back kind of to
Let's do it.
To what we were talking about, to our topic. Like we were talking about, have those check-ins, talk with people. It is always, anytime you play a TTRPG, you are making yourself vulnerable. Whether
Absolutely.
you know or mean to or not, it happens, right? But especially, and because I know Candace so well, and because I am fortunate enough that Candace has been willing to share some of their struggles and challenges with me, and because I know the kinds of things that Candace has come up against, and because Candace knows that I, traditionally, at least in the past, have stood up for them, and hopefully will continue in the future, right? It's written in pencil, so I can't say it definitely. I will try, but we all fall short. I was able to build the scenes in Godplane for Candace that I did. And I know I've said this before, but we did the scene with Bo. It was Bo's trial. And it was
so good.
Bo making themselves small and Bo being wrapped in chains, kind of their own making, of holding on to things that people had said about them. And I'm describing all of this, and I watch Candace make themselves small, and I'm super trying to make sure I'm looking at my notes, making sure I get everything right, and I look back, and we see Candace's gorgeous big brown eyes just filled with tears, and I'm like, oh no, oh no, did I go too far? And Candace is like, no, we're fine, it's okay. I'm like, okay.
Safety tools. Oh, question marks.
Because again, you don't want to go too far, but you also want to give your friends these things they can overcome. And I was only able to do something that meaningful because Candace had shared their challenges with me. And Candace trusted me enough to put themselves in that situation and not just go along with it, but get into it, make themselves small. You can't do that. I mean, you can, but it's very difficult to do that with people you don't know and you don't trust.
Absolutely. And I think people don't realize that they need to give people the chance to earn that trust. I'm in a horror game right now called Frequencies, which hasn't been fully announced yet, but it is with some folks from the Adamless podcast. And we are doing some real creepy, existential meta horror.
Sounds
in
so
this.
amazing.
It's really, really heavy. And I've been listening back to all of our recordings because my episode is coming. The way that it's kind of divided up is into our first episode is just kind of an overarching episode that introduces the characters and the situation. And then each episode after that is a spotlight on an individual person that's a player character. So my episode is coming up soon. I'm terrified. But I know that I'll be held and I'll be in good hands. Because everybody else, I got to see everyone else's, and the communication is so open and so clear that I don't have to be concerned or afraid.
Yeah.
And something that I really appreciated is that Robin, who is GMing, Robin Eckberg, Captain Krail on socials, they came to me and were like, hey, are you cool being last? And I was thrilled that I was asked to be last because that requires me to do the least amount of buy-in, right?
Yeah.
I can see how it goes for other people and how they run their table before saying, oh yeah, I'm totally down for you to just completely destroy me as a human being.
Yeah.
Right? Because like, I don't fucking know you, but like, I would love for this to be as expressive as possible. I would love to be able to go hard on my acting and the way that I'm feeling in these scenes, right? Emotionally. Like, I'd love to really be able to rip the Band-Aid off. And what's really nice about it too is that in those scenes, each of us also gets to react to the horror either as an element within the story or as our own player characters. So like being in that and forming a squad that is supposed to already be bonded, save one of us, right? One of us is new. The rest of the three are the same, you know, crew from the first time that we had kind of gotten together and done this project. Having that tension built into the storyline is really amazing and extremely intense. But coming in, I was like, this is a pretty big risk. Like, if we don't all jam, right? If we don't all like jive, this is going to be painful to do, right? And I'm not going to be able to explore the depths of this character that I want. And it's really sad when you get to a table like that and you can kind of feel the hollowness between yourself and other players, which is why kind of building trust and being a trustworthy member of this community is so important. Someone who was previously close to me was asking me one day about their anti-racism work that they were trying to wrap their mind around, and they were talking about how, you know, they wanted to keep running games and keep having people at their tables. And I was like, well, if you're just at the beginning of doing that work and you don't understand, if you have players of color at your table, you're not going to be able to really help them, right? You should really wait to try to extend yourself in that way to people of color when you can actually support them, because otherwise they're doing you a favor and you're not bringing even half of that to the table for them. And that's a huge imbalance of power, especially if you're the GM, right? Like, this one person is trying to look out for you and make sure that you're good as the GM, because that's part of what the lines and veils are, right? It's not just for your players, it's for you as well. So if you can't give of yourself to be able to be there and understand and recognize that this person might not feel comfortable, right? Be there to listen if that person is like, hey, you know, somebody said something in the game, I need you to tell them to stop. Unfortunately, I don't feel comfortable yet telling them myself. Could you maybe say something, right? There's so many interpersonal struggles that might come up when you have differences of background and different lived experiences at the table. And I think being able to own up to how little or how much you're able to give someone of that recognition and that support really can change everything for them, right? That in and of itself is an act of trust. You saying to me, hey, I'm so sorry, I'm out of my depth. Do you mind if I bring in a sensitivity consultant? Do you mind if I bring in a mediator, right? Do you mind if I have someone else approach this person who's more close to them that I also know? If you present me with options, even if you can't help me, the fact that you're trying to still matters, right? That's still you shaking my hand. If I'm saying I'm having this problem and you don't question it, you say, hey, I hear you. I'm really sorry that you're having this problem. Let's go about fixing it. Even if you can't fix it, you are down to help me try, right? Which matters so much. And I think people really take for granted those little kind of acts of allyship and acts of trust that can really end up being the difference between a great AP and one that completely falls apart.
Yeah.
So many APs fall apart because of that absence of trust.
Yeah. And even just asking yourself and being honest with yourself, you know, hey, I want to run this game and I want it to be this really diverse cast and I want to tackle these tough things. How good is your table control? Because table control is not a thing that everyone has. It is something you can work on and you can get better at and you can practice it. But like, if you are conflict avoidant and you are like, you could tell a great story, but you're not as good at handling when things don't go well between players, you're probably not ready to run some of these more diverse tables, especially if you're tackling more difficult subjects, right? Like,
absolutely.
Because if someone does something, you need to be able to recognize, shut it down, address how are we going to make sure this doesn't happen again. And if you're not ready to do that, and again, not everyone is made to be a stream GM. Not everyone has to tackle all of these things. There are stories that you don't have to tell.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's not a story for you to tell, if it's not a table for you to run, it's better to recognize that than it is to put your reputation, to damage your reputation, and to put people that you really admire and care about and want to play with in a bad situation.
Absolutely. Especially when you consider that, like, that's a lasting impression someone now has of you. Right? Like, if somebody comes to me, which this happens a lot for marginalized people, if someone comes to me and is like, hi, this person asked me to be a part of their game, what do you think? I tend to be somebody who doesn't go into the interpersonal weeds. I'm not going to talk to you about, like, oh, well, this person said something specifically personal about me that was terrible. Or, oh, yeah, you know, we used to be best friends and I don't know about them anymore. Right? I'm not going to get into, here are the personal pieces. I'm going to say, this is what you need to know as a person of color that's going to be on this channel. If you want the added commentary of how I feel about it, this is what happened, so that you can understand any biases that you may think that I have and whether or not I'm being unreasonable. I will bring it up for that reason, but I'm going to very much just come correct to you and say, this is what you should probably expect from being in this situation. If you're going to put yourself in that situation, this was my experience. I am no longer in that situation. It's probably going to be your job now. Are you okay with that being your job? Because I was not okay when it was my job because that person did not support me.
And
right? I will be honest, and a lot of people are. Like, that's a very powerful thing when somebody asks you, hey, can I, you know, is this person safe to play with? Listen, right? Listen to them and make your own educated decision. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do your research on people, even if you're just a GM. If you're a white GM, don't assume that everybody knows each other. Don't assume everyone's going to get along. Make sure that you, like, are keeping in communication, constant communication, especially if one person drops and you have to bring someone else in. Always ask your table, is everyone okay with this person? Because you just never know. You just never know. There are so many times that I've had bad experiences that weren't bad enough for me to, like, put a whole form letter on Facebook, right, and get people, or Twitter, and put, you know, get people involved in my shit, right? I would rather just go, not gonna play with them anymore, and quietly move away. But that doesn't mean that I want other people to wind up where I was, right?
Right.
So hence the Whisper Network. You know, and it's a privilege to be let into that as well. So try to recognize when someone comes to you with that, it's because they have deemed you trustworthy and they care about you and they want what's best for you.
And I know, even as, like, as a white person, like, I was at, now David and I always say, in this space, like, it does you no good to talk shit about people, right? But there's a difference between calling out or warning people about bad behavior. Talking shit, right? And if you do not know the difference, you are not ready to run in our circles. If you can't go, here's the difference, I understand, then please escort yourself out. There's lots of reading, there's lots of things you can learn. When you are ready to learn, we will have you back. But if you're like, well, I don't see, no, you're not here yet. You need to level up a couple times.
Absolutely.
But also, like, even as this had nothing to do with my being femme, my being queer, like, I did a charity game where it was hosted on a channel, and the channel was just trying to do a marathon thing, so they grabbed a ton of GMs, just whoever was willing to GM, and I got a terrible GM. Like, this GM, not sexist, not racist, but had zero interest in any of our characters. Referred to us, like, as either our class or our species, but didn't remember names, didn't remember who was what, like, kept referring to my character, a druid, as a cleric, kept confusing the ranger and the fighter, or the ranger and the barbarian, actively, just blatantly and actively undid any cool thing that we did. There was a siege tower coming, and people were going to come up it, and so I cast Ice Storm so that it was a 50% chance that they'd fall. And he's like, cool, they start singing and they all fly, because they're bards. Right, just everything that we did, undid. No agency. The minute that game was over, I was gone, right? And even though I know this was a guest GM, I haven't worked with that channel since. Because no one from the channel reached out and was like, hey, we saw, like, because it was obvious. No one was having fun, and it was obvious. And there was nothing done from that channel. And I'm like, you know what? And people have asked, hey, do you want to be on that channel? And I'm like, no. Like, even though I know that's not one of their normal GMs.
Still.
So like I said.
That shows that lack of thought.
Yeah.
And lack of awareness. And that's, can't. You don't, why take the risk when there's so many other places to play?
Exactly.
Like,
Rex says, the standing order is, if my head gets near my butt, tell me.
Always.
Yeah. But yeah,
Always.
and like I said, that was an experience, nothing to do with gender, color, sexual orientation. You can have a bad table for any reason.
Absolutely.
And when you are from a marginalized gender, from a marginalized identity of any kind, you can have the bad table on top of having all this other stuff. You know? And
yep.
Again, trust is so important because look, I am anyone who knows me, I am ace as fuck. Like, David has said aggressively ace, right? I played Thirsty Sword Lesbians with Candace and our characters ended up smooching, right? Like, that's not
good.
It was great. That's not something I'm comfortable doing with everyone. Like, I love romance, but when it's time to fill out that card, right? I'm like, this is like an orange. This is you have to ask me every time.
Yes.
Because it can be so bad so quickly if I don't know the person.
I think that's a boundary that, like, I've seen a lot of, like, really strange reactions to. I remember I was in a session 0 on one of the channels that exists, kind of floating out there in space, and they had very specific rules around romance. If you wanted to romance somebody in the game, you had to let the player character know 24 hours in advance, and if you didn't, you couldn't have any romance at all. Which for someone like me, and I don't know about other people, I don't know about you, but like, if I'm feeling it in the game, then I'm feeling it in the game, right? Like, I can't, especially if it's a session 0, I can't go, I'm going to want to romance, right? Like, sometimes I do, sometimes I'm just fine being on my own, right? I don't always know that it's going to come up or that feeling or vibe is there. Unless I go into a story saying, hey, Kay, do you want to date in this game? In case, like, yeah, we're exes or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Like, if we have that story, sure. If we don't have that story,
and like,
who knows what's going to happen in the game?
Very often I'm like, I would love to do a romance, right? I would love to play this out, but what if the person playing the character is creepy? What if the character's totally vibe, but the player's creepy? I'd rather not take the risk, right? Like,
I've definitely had a player, their character was very cute. I thought I was interested in going there, but the player character, like, didn't take the hint that, like, there were certain things that my character was trying to take slow. So it's very situational. And even if you have buy-in 24 hours in advance, what if I change my mind? Does that mean I can't change my mind because we had buy-in 24 hours ago? Right? Like, I understand the purpose of it, especially for people who might be Aero Ace, who aren't comfortable with any kind of romance in a game, right? It gives them the opportunity to say, no, thank you, because the entire table had to agree, not just the 2 players that the romance was going on between, right? Which I also think is a slippery slope, because if there's one person who has a problem, like, I was in an all cis white male table other than myself of Deadlands, right? And I was playing a trans mask character. If one of those people was transphobic and said I couldn't have romance, that completely changes my story, right? Now I'm doing something very different than I meant to. And I don't feel comfortable because I'm being discriminated against, right? Because somebody doesn't want to see me have romance in the game. That's something that you definitely should be having those conversations early on. But if everyone says I am a romanceable PC, please just ask before you make any overtures. It's easy to go, hey, with consent, I look at your character with a sidelong glance that would set a fucking iceberg aflame. Let me tell you, into it. And that person's like, oh, I smile politely and do a little wave in friendship. My character goes, okay, yeah, I see that and I respect that, and I hand you the flower I have in my pocket and waltz away alone to find another person to dance with, right? Easy to pivot at the table. And each time that you make a successful connection with a person, right? And you show that person trust, I've said it on this show before, and I'm going to say it again because Matt is in the chat. Like, there was a moment, my first game with Matt, there was somebody that was at the table that, like, I'd never had a problem with, but a very close friend of mine had not had the best time. And I saw that they hadn't had the best time, and I felt some type of way about it. They did not tell me they didn't have a good time. They didn't need to. I was like, don't like that. And I went into the person and I was like, and they were like, yeah, it wasn't great. And I said, good, thank you. That's all I need. So when Matt asked me to be in his game, I was like, I would love to. I have a concern about this individual. And Matt was like, I did not realize that was a problem. Thank you so much for informing me. I'm going to take care of that old issue. And I'm also going to make sure that issue doesn't happen here. And he checked in with me every single session to make sure that I was okay and I wasn't being put out or weighed on in any way. And didn't ask me to come up with solutions, only was like, if there is a problem, I will handle it.
Mm-hmm.
And I will ask for your input to make sure that I am doing it in a way that is respectful and considerate of you.
And that
was
why
amazing.
Matt
I will
is
never not
awesome.
play with Matt.
Yeah.
I will never not play with Matt ever again. I will never even hesitate. Matt's like, hey, I'm doing this thing. I don't know what it's called, but it sort of has these 3 vibes. I'm like, yes. I don't care, Matt. If it's not Mecca, I'm doing it. And if it is Mecca, but Pacific Rim, I'll do it. Right. So like, that's what I'm saying. I think that like the building of trust is something that's very, very underrated in this industry. And I think a lot of times people consider trust to be, well, am I being nice?
Yeah.
I don't care if you're nice. There are plenty of people out there that are nice. The person who came at me after talking to 2 other people of color for their 3rd answer is a very nice person. They're not shitty. They're not mean. They're not rude, right? They're an upstanding individual in this community. That hasn't changed just because they said that to me. They were very nice about it. Was it respectful? No. Was it taking anything seriously? In no shape or form. No, I was not taken seriously, right? But they did mean well,
Yeah.
right? They did mean well. Will I play on that person's channel? Probably not anytime soon. Because good intentions and a lack of accountability does not trust make. So I think, today was all about conflicts. And I feel like that lack of trust is part of conflict resolution as well, because a lot of times that's really all that's keeping you from a successful resolution in conflict resolution is a lack of trust and a lack of accountability. And that's super important when you're dealing with people's emotions and their feelings, when you're dealing with fear, guilt, when you're dealing with grief, romance and love and sadness and all of these feelings, especially with neurodivergent people that might be practicing, people who are questioning their gender, that might be practicing and trying to understand a part of themselves. That's a very personal thing that is happening before your very eyes. And we're all very lucky to share that space with one another. But if you don't actually value that, and it's really just about getting ahead, and it's really about making things that people will want to watch, or having diversity so you won't get criticized, all of those are the wrong reason to do it. And people will see that. People will know, and they will talk.
They might not know
And,
right
like,
away, but they will.
They'll see it.
Shows.
They'll see it. Absolutely. They'll see it.
When you've always got the same person who ticks like 3 boxes at your table, and then everyone else looks exactly the same.
Yep.
Noticed. Or when
Yep.
you always have one girl and she has to be the girlfriend. Like,
Yes.
the number of tables that I've looked at and I'm like, I'm here to be the girlfriend.
I
And,
won't
like-
be, but
Like,
that's why I'm here.
don't get me wrong, right? For the right table, I'm down. But usually that's not the table. Like,
No.
if I'm brought in to be the girlfriend, that's not the table I want to be the girlfriend at.
No, agree. Absolutely not. To you hooligan? No. Go fuck yourself.
All right, we have been at it for quite a while, and I need to let you go because you have other things to do tonight. So, thank you, chat. You have been wonderful. Ribbonanza has wandered away, but said New Vegas is probably where you want to start with Fallout, if you can find
Ooh,
it.
okay. Yes.
Um,
I'm gonna look right after this. Well, after my thing, after this.
As always, thank you so much, chat. You have been wonderful. Thank you for your hilarious comments. I know I didn't get as many of them, but we were going very quickly. Like, David and I will ramble, but kind of stay in an area, and Candace and I are like, yeah, that's
my fault.
I'm here for it. It's just, between the delay in video and then the delay in chat and all of that, we're often on a different subject by the time we get back. But chat, you are wonderful and insightful and hilarious, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
Candace, who the heck is you and where can we find you?
You can find me on a variety of places. My socials are at the Candace Marie on Twitter and Blue Sky, at Candace the Magnificent everywhere else. You can find me on May the 4th over at Telltale Hearts, not Telltale, Telltale Hearts, which is Calamity's channel, which is awesome. They're running an all BIPOC 2-day Star Wars May the 4th and 5th Be With You event.
Revenge of the 5th.
Your boy will be GMing on May the 4th at 10:30, 11 o'clock in the morning, running some Savage World Star Wars with a really fancy table that will probably be announced soon. You can also hear me over at 12-Sided Stories. On May 22nd, you'll be getting a new story with me and Kay called The Candlestick Crimes. Right now, we are wrapping up Otherworld Hollywood, which is called Cthulhu Campaign, set in 1950s silver screen age. You can also hear me on Bloom and Blight, which is a Dareful Archives Girl by Moonlight podcast that comes out every week. And then Frequencies, which should be coming out soon as well. And then keep your eyes peeled if you like Pride events and Juneteenth events, because we're going to have some here at Chaotic Wholesome. So,
What?
Oh, and every other Saturday on Masihi's channel, I do What We Do in the Shallows with one of the cutest GMs in the biz. So get on it and watch it, because it's great.
Yes, and on Saturday.
This Saturday, not last Saturday, because I made that mistake and ruined everyone's day. This Saturday is going to be Alone in the Deep. I'm actually looking at the marketing materials right now, and they look good.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Yeah, they look real good. So Jason's embarrassed. I can see his ears glowing in the din from here.
Jason, you're the best.
Yeah, Alone in the Deep. It's going to be Mothership. It's going to be scary. It's going to be creepy. It's going to be 3 to 4 hours of excitement. And then I will be on Maddie Masihi's channel after that.
Oh, that's going to be a long day.
It will be a long day, especially because I also have Greater Restoration, which is a Take This charity stream on Friday night at 5 p.m.
I wish you energy.
Thanks. I have Sunday off though, so
that's good. That's good. I thought I was going to have 2 back-to-back games on Sunday after Mothership, and they both canceled. Mm-hmm. So I have Sunday off as well.
Chill out and do nothing.
I am Kay. I have been your other co-host. You can find us here. I don't know if you can hear the child screaming now, but
I can hear that child. They need to get a grip.
Yeah, they're having a time. They're in their feels. I am Kay. You can find me right here every Tuesday doing the Table Talk show, usually with David, but today we were lucky enough to have our special guest host, Candace. You can find me right now, new episodes are not out, but if you've not caught up, every other Wednesday, new episodes of the Emergency Power podcast are coming out. I joined in episode 2 of season 3, and season 4 is about to come out. And y'all, character growth happened. Massive character growth, and I can't even.
Juicy.
I was waiting the entire season for that. I thought it was going to happen so much sooner. But I'm very excited to be back playing Soul. And Thursday, Friday, we are going to be maybe with David playing Baldur's Gate. Maybe it's just going to be me doing something else. I don't know. We'll find out. And then, again, come back Saturday for Mothership, where y'all gonna meet. If y'all didn't watch Chalice, then y'all can meet Bert and my little Southern cinnamon bun. And I can't wait to see how Candace tortures us.
I'm gonna be so miserable.
So thank you all. You are wonderful. We're gonna go over and say hi to Cypher of Tyr,
Yay!
Who is playing an awesome. Tales of Kinzanera. Zao. Yeah.
Yeah, it just came out today.
Yeah.
Oh, I want it so bad.
So we're going to do that. Thank you all so much. Be kind to yourselves. Be excellent to others. And we will see you next time. Bye, y'all.
Bye.